FSPN, the most trusted name in fake news. I'm Frankie from Flatbush. We do Jets news here. We do football news here. We do attack the media, the stupid media news here. So if you're down for that, stick around, maybe even subscribe. Click the thumbs up button down below this video. All things such as that are free. It is high, it is far, it is January the 9th, 2026. It is a Friday. That's right, it's a college football playoff Friday. And it's a NFL playoff eve Friday. As such, there doesn't seem to be a lot of Jet news right now. So today's show is going to be more about the NFL, college, what the hell's going on, because there's not a lot going on with the Jets. Be honest with you. But we do got a docket. There it is. You see it right there. It says Frankie Show docket, Friday, January the 9th. That's today. First on the news, NFL Roundup, and we got some news items. John Eric Sullivan has been named the new general manager of your Miami Dolphinians. Now, who is this man? He comes from the Packers. So, speculation is running rampant that perhaps the old Dolphinians will get one of the Green Bay Packer people. Mike McCarthy, Jeff Hafley, Adam Stanovich, all these people. And maybe Malik Willis. Now, this has several interesting corollaries for the Jets. Of course, they're in our division, so John Eric Sullivan comes from scouting background. No one knows, really, if he'll become a good GM or not. It's a crapshoot with these guys. JES comes from the scouting world. Usually these GMs either come from scouting or accounting. Or some combination thereof. Mike Tannenbaum's an accountant and a lawyer, for example. He doesn't know how to scout anybody. But this guy comes from scouting, so he'll have a capologist next to him. And some people are saying, well, he knows all about Malik Willis. Well, everybody knows all about Malik Willis. But here's the thing to know about Malik Willis. Malik Willis is represented by David Mulugeta. David Mulugeta works for Athletes First. He's actually a co-owner of Athletes First. David Mulugeta is one of the most powerful agents in all of football. Athletes First represents a number of quarterbacks throughout the league, including Deshaun Watson and Tua Tagovailoa. So unless they get rid of Tua, which according to his contract is very hard to do, they could release him, eat the money, okay. But if they keep Tua on the roster, it would be very hard for me to see the agent putting another one of his clients, and again, he's a partner at Athletes First, so all of the athletes within that stable are sort of his in a way. And so it's going to be the same for the Browns and the same for the Dolphins. It would be hard for me to see Mulugeta putting Willis on the Browns because he represents Deshaun Watson. From his point of view, regardless of what everybody else thinks, his and the players' point of view, they want Deshaun to play, reestablish value, show he can be the same guy he was in Texas. And if you put Malik Willis there, that becomes impossible. Same thing as with Tua in Miami. Now, if Miami gets rid of Tua in some kind of way, trade, release, okay, then you could see him go there. But if he sticks, then it'd be very difficult for me to envision that. It also, well, they could release him and take the cap hit, and then, you're really tying your hands if you're John Eric Sullivan, but I don't know. They may do that. They may say, look, starting fresh, we're going to take our medicine, we'll take the big cap hit, and we'll just rebuild this thing. All right. Then if you're doing that, it's going to be very difficult then to make it very appealing for someone like Malik Willis to come along. Because are you getting Tariq Hill back? Are you getting, who else are you going to have to let go because you're eating all this money? What is the talent acquisition plan? As opposed to a team like the Jets, We can go to Malik Willis and David Mulligetta and say, listen, David, Malik, we have 90 plus million and can create more at the push of a button. We can push a button in Garrett Wilson's contract. We can push a button in Jamie Sherwood's contract. We can push a button in Brandon Stevens' contract and create even more space if we need to. And so we got 90 plus, can create more at a moment's notice, and that those things don't hurt the player. They're good for the player. Gives us more cap room. So we can go out and get whatever kind of talent we want that you would want. You want us to go get Alec Pierce? We'll make him a $25 million offer. Maybe he'll take it. All right. If not, we'll give 15 to Romeo Dobbs. All right. We'll go out and make a $22 million offer for Tyler Linderbaum. Can't guarantee they'll take it, but those are top of the market values. And look at all the other things we have. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. I'm convinced he's coming back. Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, Mason Taylor, Jeremy Ruckert. You know, we're gonna, and then we have all the draft assets. So if you could tell me, well, the Dolphins are just going to get rid of Tua, so now we can get Malik. Well, all right, then you're taking a huge cap hit, and how are you going to build the team so that Malik can establish his value? Because Malik Willis, if I was the agent, I would say, listen, Malik, you need to have a Sam Darnold type year, the year he was with the Vikings, to establish who you are. At that time, he was thought of as a backup and a good veteran option for the Vikings. They were bringing in J.J. McCarthy, and McCarthy got hurt, and then in comes Darnold. He has a great year. They win, 14 games? Has a great year, falls off at the end, but then he was able to get a nice contract from the Seahawks. And that's what you're hoping for if you're the agent of Malik Willis. Give me a year. I mean, you may sign a 2 or 3 year deal with some opt-outs and things of that nature, but you really need a Sam Darnold year, a 17-game year where you put up big numbers, you show what you really can do, and then, boom, you're going to get a huge contract. Can you really do that in Miami with that big cap hit? And how are you going to bring in? I mean, you got Jalen Waddle. Okay, that's good. You got Devon Achane. That's good. Are you going to bring back Tyreek with all the headaches and everything else? Is that what you want? You never know. You're going to wake up to another domestic violence headline with Tyreek Hill. Sometimes he settles them, and maybe the next one he's not able to settle. Not to make a light of domestic violence, but I mean, look at his history. It's not too great. So, is that the situation you want to put your guy in? I don't think so. So there's very few places around the league that can really match what the Jets can do, regardless of what the media wants to tell you. Now, that's why some of these signings are important. Now, it also means that John Harbaugh, play hardball with Harbaugh, is less likely to land in our division. Now, I'm not really scared of John Harbaugh. Look at John Harbaugh's career, would you please? He came in, he had, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs and all those people down in Baltimore. One of the greatest defenses of all time, and they had Joe Flacco at his peak. Maybe he's not elite, but he was very good, and they won a lot of games, and won one Super Bowl. Then at the end of the Joe Flacco era, they luck out and get Lamar Jackson with the last pick of the first round. He turns out to be an elite quarterback. Yeah, people being taken in the top 10 all over the place. Zach Wilson, Josh Rosen, this one, that one. They're at the way back of the first round. I think they had to trade back in, if I remember. And anyway, last pick of the first round, and they luck out and get an elite freaking quarterback. And then because they had that, they could stock up on the defense all those years, and the defense was great until the last few years. And then when the defense fell off and Lamar injuries piled up on Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh wasn't so good a coach no more. What happened? If he's such a great coach, well, what? You need Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and all these people to be a good coach? Well, if you have all those people, I could probably coach the team pretty good. What do we need you for? You need a coach when you don't have elite players all over the place. So I'm not exactly the kind of coaches that scare me are the genius offensive minds, the play callers. They're the ones who really make the difference. That's why Miami was crazy to get rid of McDaniel. That was very stupid. And I also think the Browns were stupid to get rid of Stefanski. And you see, these people are in high demand. As soon as they get let go, everybody wants to interview them. That's how you know you made a mistake. Who are the Browns going to get that's better than Stefanski? Brian Flores. I like Flores, but he's a great defensive mind. And how much of a better defense you're going to have than with Jim Schwartz anyway? You had Jim Schwartz there. What? So I don't know. But anyway, so now the Giants are the faves to land Harbaugh. And keep in mind, Jet fans, this is mostly a Jet channel. You're going to hear Giant fans going crazy once they get Harbaugh. Seems like a good fit. Old stodgy coach, old stodgy franchise, right? And they will say, oh, stability, oh, leader of men, oh, this and oh, that. But it's all going to come down to what Jackson Dart is. And right now, he's a maybe. He's a maybe. He did some good things. He ran around a lot. But he did do some good things. So I wouldn't say he's excellent right now, like Gary Gnu-Myers tries to sell you because he's a giant shill. But he is a maybe. I mean, he's definitely not bad. I mean, he definitely had a nice rookie year. So we have that going on as the coaching carousel swirls and swings and circles. Now, Aaron Rodgers made some comments. This pertains directly to the Jets, and he said that one of the things he likes about the Steelers, there's no leaks on the boat as opposed to where he was the last 2 years, which is the Jets. And this is a great point. It's something that there it is right there. We have it on the ticker for a reason. We do a public service announcement here on FSPN to the Jets. Omerta is the best policy when it comes to people like Dirty Diana Rossini and Mike Garafulio and all of these dumbass journalists. Shut the fuck up. Stop talking to Diana fucking Rossini. How many times you got to get burned by that person, by that gossip girl, before you stop talking to her? There's zero reason. She's not a beat reporter. You don't have to send her a text. And like it says on the ticker, she's not going to sleep with you under any circumstances. Because these high testosterone dudes, which are frequent in football, are thinking, boy, if I get in with Rossini, maybe at some point she'll have a little too much to drink and I can get in. We can start talking. You never know. She might. She's not going to sleep with you. Okay? Stop it. If you're texting her information, leaking anonymous information to her, you are not a high enough status person for her to even think about you in that way. Stop it. Why? Because you're texting her information in an anonymous way. You're being an anonysource. You're obviously not high enough on a on a status pedestal for her to even think about your little wee-wee. So just stop it. You're not helping. And I understand that, the part of the problem, so Aaron Rodgers was right. The Steelers ship is tighter than the Jets ship. Part of the problem is the Steelers always win. They always have a winning season. Tomlin, never a losing season. And when you're winning, the coaches aren't worried. The people in the organization aren't too worried about their jobs. When you're losing all the time, one of the many bad things about losing all the time, everybody in the organization is worried about losing their job. You never know when Woody's going to come by with the old axe and cut your head off. So then they start going, well, I got to get some information out to the media, make sure it's not my fault. I need to shape the narrative. And by the way, maybe Rossini will sleep with me. She won't. But then they start thinking, like, I got to shape this narrative. I got to make it look like it wasn't me. Maybe it was the quarterback's fault. Maybe it was, Woody's children's fault. Maybe it was this. They never point at High Meal High for some reason. But you see, that's what happens. When you lose, everything starts to fall apart. So there's a reason why. It's true what Aaron Rodgers said. But at the same time, there's a reason why. But I don't really even think that the benefits of doing that outweigh the costs. So if you're on the Jets and you're doing that, please stop. Number one, Dirty Diana's not sleeping with you. And number two, you're not helping. You may think you are. You may think you can shape the narrative, but the narrative is going to get shaped by big, big entities that don't care about you, your wee-wee, or anything else. They care about their business model, which doesn't include your attempt to shape the narrative. All right. So, omerta. But if we could just start winning some games, that would really, that would really help. More reasons to win football games. All right, some college nugs. What do we got on a Friday for college nugs? Well, Miami beat Ole Miss last night in a very exciting game. If you didn't watch that game, I feel bad for you. That was a great game to watch. Very fun. But in terms of who might, some of the players on those teams who might come out, a couple of things from Ole Miss. So Ole Miss lost. So now their players are considering what to do. Three guys I would keep an eye on. One, Trinidad Chambliss, of course. Now we had news for him come out today. The NCAA denied him his waiver. He's trying to get a medical redshirt waiver that he needs for another year of eligibility so he can go back to Ole Miss. He has a lawyer who said he met all of the requirements for it. The NCAA came out today and said, no, you didn't. So this is going to go on. He might come into the draft now. He might not. This was incorrectly reported by Zach Rosenblather, and I pointed it out on X, and you guys should follow me on X at Flatbush Frankie, because you can watch me dunk on these fucking motherfuckers. I do it every day, and nobody supports me. And you can support me just by, you don't have to say anything. You just click the like of the dunking when I dunk on them. And sometimes it's a light dunking. Today was a light dunking. He slightly misrepresented the facts. He said he's definitely coming into the draft now. And I said, no, actually, he might come into the draft because he's still got a couple of appeals avenues left. And his attorney said, and then if that doesn't work, we're going to sue their ass. We're going to go to court. So that will be an interesting lawsuit once that develops. But it does seem to me that the NCAA provided an explanation. So when you read the thing the lawyer provided, it was like, oh, yeah, it seems like they should give him the waiver. But then you see what the NCAA wrote, and it's like, oh, of course they denied it. That's when you're not an expert in a certain field. An expert can fool you. But anyway, the NCAA has no incentive to deny the waiver unless he didn't meet the rule. And so it seems to me NCAA is in a good place here, because why would they care? I mean, there's rules, and the only reason they deny you is if you don't meet the rule. Now you could say the rule is stupid. I don't agree with the rule, but the NCAA is sort of a self-governing body. The rules are the rules, and there's no real incentive for them to deny him coming back. If anything, they should want him to come back. It'd be better for the NCAA if he did, because he's a very exciting player. And he would come back and play for Ole Miss, and it would be a great story, and they'd be a contender again, and people have started to know who this kid is now, so it would be good for... So if they have an incentive, it's for him to come back. So I think it's going to be a hard mountain to climb for him to overcome that denial. But at the same time, you never know what's going to happen in court, etc. So, yeah, he probably is coming in, but it's not guaranteed at this moment. So that's Trinidad Chambliss. Then they have a wide receiver named Stribling. I think he is coming in. And their tight end, Daquan Wright, who caught a couple of key passes last night as well in that exciting game. He's somebody to keep an eye on for the draft. I could see him in a Jet uniform very, very easily. Then from the Miami side, who's going to go to the championship now, you got Ruben Bain. I thought Bain played well. He didn't get any sacks, but I thought he played very well, and he's a very disruptive defensive lineman, and he can play inside or outside. I look at him as like JFM plus. You can play him inside on first and second down, or no, you play him outside on first and second down. Third down, you move him inside and bring in your designated pass rusher. Very valuable. And don't forget, his defensive line coach is who? Jason Taylor. That's right, Mason Taylor's daddy. So we could get some nice inside information on old Ruben Bain or any of the Miami players, including Carson Beck. I would not want Beck on the Jets, personally. He's going to make a roster. He's a tall white guy, after all. In the NFL, does love their tall white quarterbacks, don't they? They'll get about 1 million chances, but nonetheless, you saw him last night. He's, dime store Mac Jones, so you want to take a 7th-round flyer, a 6th-round flyer, 5th-round flyer on him, okay, but no, I don't think for the Jets. But he will get drafted. I mean, he's a tall white guy after all. Now tonight we got an exciting one: Indiana against Oregon. We get to watch Mendoza against Moore, potentially the top 2 quarterbacks in the entire draft, going at each other tonight. Very exciting game, but there's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. For Oregon, you got talent all over the place. You got tight ends, including probably the top tight end in Kenyon Sadiq. They also have a second tight end who's very long and a good pass catcher. They got offensive linemen that are going to get drafted. They got defensive linemen, linebackers, safeties, all over the place. Oregon has talent. Indiana, on the other hand, doesn't have as much 5-star talent, but they just have good football players. So like their center, for example, Pat Coogan, loved to take a 7th-round flyer on Pat Coogan, though he'll probably go earlier. Good leadership, formerly of Notre Dame. And they have good talent at the wide receiver position: Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, etc. And I like their tight end as well. Not a guy who's going to rack up a lot of stats, but he's going to do whatever. He's a good football player. We need more good football players. You know what I mean? Can do whatever you need. Nowakowski. You want him to be a fullback? Fine. You want him to be a blocking tight end? Fine. You want him to catch an important pass against, I think it was Penn State, caught a couple of important passes? Fine. Whatever you need. Those are the kind of dudes we need here. Whatever you ask him to do, no problem. I'll do it, coach. That's what we need. That's what we need over here. So a lot of guys to watch. Aiden Fisher at the linebacker position. A lot of guys to watch. Lou Moore as a safety. Would love to have Lou Moore on this team for Indiana. Ball hawk and safety, something we need desperately. So, a lot of guys to watch tonight, not just the quarterbacks. Watch everybody else too. But a lot of you haven't been watching Dante Moore, for example, and this kid is smooth operator, man. You know that song? Smooth operator. That's Dante Moore, man. Smooth, man. Dante Moore, essentially, think of C.J. Stroud, but a better athlete and a better arm and strong and better ball placement. Is that good? Pretty good. They also have a 5-star Decorian Moore. I don't know if he's playing tonight. The wide receiver. He's not. I think he's a true freshman, so he's not coming out, but very exciting player. All right, late breaking news. What else is going on? Well, let's check what's going on. Kevin Stefanski, fired by the Browns on Monday, took out a full-page ad in the Cleveland Plain Dealer, that's a newspaper, on Friday to say farewell to the Browns fans. Very classy. Lions and Commanders will interview T. Martin for their open OC position. Anything with the Jetsies? Let's see. Nope. But Trinidad Chambliss, if he does come into the draft, that's good for the Jets because it's just another quarterback in the draft. I don't know if he's good for us. He needs a little development, but more quarterbacks in the draft this year, the better, because basically because it decreases maybe a little bit the cost of trying to get up to one. We could always say to the Raiders, "Oh, okay, trying to drive a hard bargain. We'll just go get Ty Simpson or Trinidad Chambliss. We don't care." Even though we would care, but that sort of thing. And plus, once we take our quarterback, then somebody else will take Chambliss, which means another player falls to us. So, there's nothing else going on. Basically, the coaching circle going on. There's rain and snow in the forecast for Soldier Field tomorrow, rain and snow, so that'll be fun for the Bears. And the Packers, that's an interesting game. So we got college playoff tonight, Saturday NFL playoff, Sunday NFL playoff, Monday night NFL playoff. Oregon's leading rusher Noah Whittington is taking part in warm-ups. He's expected to play tonight, but not likely to start. How much he plays depends on how he feels. So the injury stuff going on in college, he'd been listed as questionable. Ducks should know early on how effective he'll be. South Carolina signing a bunch of dudes. Boy, some of these people who think they're coming out next year, like if Dante Moore, for example, thinks, I'll just come out next year, they better hope that Lenoris Sellers doesn't figure it out. Because if Lenoris Sellers figures out how to be an efficient, effective quarterback, all these other people are pikers compared to fucking Lenoris Sellers. I got news for you. You want to come out when that monster's coming out, when he could figure it out, when he gets a little protection, when he gets an extra receiver, when he gets a running game going, and he gets maybe some enhanced coaching, and so does some another year of development. You want to come out with that monster? Excuse me? What? And that's the thing nobody's talking about, with all these talking heads coming out and saying, Colin Clownherd and Todd McShithead, by the way, college teammate of Joe Douglas, as we talked about in our poll, and I gave to the members yesterday. By the way, become a member by clicking join down below, $2 a month. You get all the stuff early. You get all sorts of shit. But Todd McShithead was a college teammate of Joe fucking Douglas. So, of course, he thinks the Jets did Douglas wrong and dirty, which we kind of did. But, I mean, sort of. Probably all this shit we did in the Aaron Rodgers saga was probably where we did Douglas wrong. But nonetheless, I mean, look, that's all over with. But Todd McShithead, so of course he's going to punch down on us. He's punching down on your team. And I think you should let him know about it. But the thing that they don't talk about is, number one, Dante Moore would be foregoing $50 million guaranteed dollars. 50 guaranteed dollars. Just go back to school. Forget the $50 million. You can make 7 at college. 50. 50 is greater than 7. It's even greater than 10. I think the highest paid guy is like 6 or 7 now. And then, yeah, you could make some outside money with some endorsement deals. All right, maybe get up to 12. 50 is still bigger than that. And number 2, you really want to take your chances in 2027 with C.J. Carr, Julian Sayin, Arch Manning, Darian Mensah, Brandon Sorsby, and Lenoris Sellers, who, again, has the traits to make all those fuckers look like pikers in comparison. If he ever gets his quarterback head screwed on straight, he's 1-1, and it's not even close. If the college season starts next year, and every game you're seeing a very decisive, efficient, no turnover Lenoris Sellers, and it continues game 1, 2, 3. It's going on, and it's like, holy shit. He's got, look at this. He's up to 20 touchdowns and 1 interception, like something like that. 74% completion percentage. What? This is different from last year. He's going 1-1, and it's not even close. And then you got Manning and Carr and saying, so you want to be the 4th or 5th or 6th quarterback next year? When you're guaranteed to be second this year, so you're going to forego $50 million and then risk injury, risk a performance decline. And by the way, he's losing his offensive coordinator after this year, is going to be the head coach of Kentucky. So you could have a decline in performance, even if it's slight. And then you got all this much better competition coming out next year. And now you got to compete with all those monsters. Yeah, Colin Clownherd really thought it through. I probably should listen to Todd McShithead. He's been wrong about everyone since Jimmy Clausen. But let's listen to him. Let's listen to his fucking opinion. Thank you, Todd McShithead, for your wrong opinion. It's just an opinion, Frankie. It can't be wrong. Yeah, but his opinion on everybody's been wrong. Jimmy Clausen, Zach Wilson. He was a big Zach Wilson guy. Said he was a combination of Patrick Mahomes and Breeze. I forget. But he put Zach Wilson together with Patrick fucking Mahomes. That's all you need to know about Todd McShithead and his opinions of quarterbacks. Big Jimmy Clausen guy. Huge. Thought he was going to be the best thing ever. Whew. These people, how do they have jobs? I don't know. Who does Todd McShithead even work for anyway? Anybody know? Bill Simmons? That Adderall head? Okay. Enough with the enough with the comedy, Frankie. Okay. So that'll do it for this Friday. If you have any comments or questions, write them down. Save them for Sunday. On Sunday, we go live. It's called Coffee with Frankie. That show is driven by what? The comments and the chat. You guys. What's the point of doing comments on a video? Does anybody see them? No. Anybody care? No. But if you do them live, everybody's watching, and I bring them up on screen live. So save them for Sunday. That's when we do Coffee with Frankie, 10 a.m. live. Save your questions for then. Otherwise, I suggest you just join the Inner Circle, because the Inner Circle people get advanced and exciting information, the latest and greatest. And by the way, I got to grade these quarterbacks tonight. So college quarterback grades, I got 10 games of Ty Simpson graded, for example. I'm going to have 10, I think with Mendoza it'll be 10 tonight, and Moore is going to be 9, I think. And then we'll do another one, win the championship game. So we're going to have a lot of grades for these kids, and not to mention a bunch of other ones. Don't you want that? Well, the members get it. Go ahead and click the join button down below. Click it now. Click it. Click it. Click it.